This video is sponsored by Squarespace.
Hello Internet, it's me, Taliesin, but it's not just me.
It's me, Evitel too. Hi guys.
That's right, a multi-camera setup.
And I'm on the sofa. Sofa.
Only one of the cameras has actually been recorded properly. That's okay, I'm sure it'll be a very good quality video that everyone will like.
It's fine. This is great. I feel like the podcast interlocutor. I feel like the guy who's here to be like, but Tally.
That's exactly what you're here to be, just like in real life. You're here to do it on the channel now as well.
But why? Why am I here? Why are we doing this? What's going on, Tally?
While we were away this week in Italiano, Blizzcon was announced.
Yes, it was, which we are extremely excited about, because as we know, last year's Blizzcon was 4 years ago.
4 years ago? I can't even remember 4 years ago. It's too wild. Do you know, at the last Blizzcon, Shadowlands hadn't even been announced?
Stop it.
Do you know that at the last Blizzcon, Underrot and Freehold were current content?
Wow. Uh-oh. Hey, did you know at the last BlizzCon, we had 0 children?
That's true.
This video is all about your predictions, which I am sure you are full of.
People don't want to just hear my predictions, Evitel. They want to hear yours as well.
Exactly. I've got a few.
Maybe we'll hear them later on. At BlizzCon this year, you would expect... okay, maybe no Overwatch 2 news now, no Heroes of the Storm news, probably no StarCraft news, but you would expect maybe like a Diablo kind of...
thing?
Sort of DLC add-on expansion. I don't even know what they're planning on doing on that game, to be honest. But something Diablo-wise. I would imagine that the unannounced survival game probably won't remain unannounced much longer. That's
I think you're probably right. Probably right about that one.
But far more importantly for us, guaranteed, my promise to you, the Tally guarantee 2023 is that there will be a World of Warcraft expansion announcement.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, that's my prediction. That's what I just said. By the time BlizzCon rolls around, Dragonflight, because the actual launch date of Dragonflight was fairly standard as WoW expansions go. Any time between kind of like August and November is like the modern WoW expansion kind of release date, which means that just a short year later, at the next BlizzCon, the first BlizzCon to happen since the game comes out, pretty much, would be the announcement of the next expansion. So it fits in with the proper kind of like theme and time of it all, you see.
It does. We've just been stuck in a weird time warp over the past few years, which is why it doesn't feel like it's time, but I think it is actually time.
Yeah, well, I think so too. And I think Blizzard know that, and I think they want to get back into their cozy kind of like 2-year cycle, right? Yeah. Especially as Dragonflight is very much about its kind of content delivery and, you know, like really fast patch cadence, boom, 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 boom. And that's what this video is about, right? I thought it'd be really cool to do a video that we always do before a BlizzCon of my predictions for the next expansion based on the evidence that we have so far.
Oh, okay. So you want to get in there ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
as it were.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much my level, right? We're not cutting edge around here.
No
hey,
shame.
Don't mock it. It's absolutely fine. No, I love that stuff. Yes, so getting ahead of the curve, like so that, you know, when the announcement happens in like 6 months' time, you know, I can be like, well, of course my predictions were wrong. Look how early I made them. So, you know, I reserve the right to do another one of these videos like a week before BlizzCon.
Okay.
If there's like any new evidence. But the reason I want to make this video is because I genuinely believe that there is ample, intriguing evidence, Evitel, as to what the next expansion will be.
So without any further ado, Taliesin's 11.0 BlizzCon predictions. Go, 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 go. Okay, so Tally, let's start big. What is the theme or the setting, the overall vibe of this expansion?
Oh God, I hadn't thought of that.
No.
No, I'm joking. No. Okay, right. Okay, so like I say, this is based on evidence, okay? This isn't like complete spitballing. And I've noticed something in recent times, Evitel. There's been a theme that hasn't been like overly overt, but has been popping up places, okay? So for me, like the first kind of hint at this was suddenly a lot of pirate hats started appearing in the data.
Uh-oh.
Okay, pirate hats and like admiral hats and general seafaring hats.
Tricorns, bicorns.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And some of them have appeared on like the Trial of Style vendor since then. But some of them have appeared in the trading post, and some of them are just still in the data. Presumably they'll appear in something else like that. I didn't really think much of that, but I did notice it, and I did go, Do you remember on the store, Evitel, there was a transmog that appeared just a couple of months ago called the Diplomat's Regalia?
Of course I do. I bought it instantly.
Yeah, me too. With my in-game gold, of course.
Naturally, yes.
But if people haven't seen the Diplomat's Regalia, how would you describe it if you had to describe it to someone who hadn't seen it?
Oh, I would say like a bit of a bougie, seafaring dandy.
Yeah.
You got the big puffy sleeves. You've got your little scrolls. Oh my god, so good. You've got like a little pot of ink.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting. Yeah, me too. World of Warcraft is a kind of a medieval fantasy. If you had to like place that regalia in like an IRL kind of time frame in history, where would you put it?
What did we call it? Like the golden era of exploration?
Yeah, sure,
right?
Which is like 16th, 17th century, right?
Yeah, sure. The maybe not conquistadors, but you know.
Yeah, well, I do you know what?
Maybe.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Maybe keep that word in mind.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, like it was the same for me. Like when I saw that, I was like, that's weird because it's not WoW's usual type of time frame that it usually draws from. Usually it's knights in armor, things like that, right? But this was very much kind of Christopher Columbus, the age of discovery, crossing a sea to like discover new lands and things like that.
The Diplomat.
The Diplomat, exactly. Right. I noticed it. I didn't think too much of it. And I was like, And then what happened was 10.07 released, and 10.07 had a ton of lore. There's loads of old god lore in it, loads of setting up of Neltharion stuff and Aberrus and what came later in 10.1 and things like that. But there were other things as well. There were Vrykul appearing and things, and ogres and like all kinds of people coming to the Dragon Isles. And one of those people was a pirate ship.
Okay.
Or, they don't call themselves pirates, actually. They call themselves privateers. And if you go to that pirate ship, you can find a diary, The Tale of the Nightsquall. Okay. And it's written by the captain of this privateer ship. And it talks about how there was this legendary pirate, this legendary privateer explorer called Nightsquall. He was a night elf. And we talked about this loads in other videos and stuff because it's something I'm really, really fascinated about. I talk about it on stream all the time. But it describes how he set off one day to go through the Western Storms.
Hold on, what are the Western Storms?
I'm glad you asked, Evitel. The Western Storms are the reason we have never gone to the west of Kalimdor. Fair enough, you don't go to the east of the Eastern Kingdoms either, but the whole kind of like lore reason why you don't go to the west of Kalimdor is because there are magical storms there that stop you going past.
Are you sure it's not because Azeroth is flat?
And you'd fall off the edge. No, I've seen it. I've seen it from space.
Okay.
Fact.
Okay, so you're telling me there is basically a like forbidden Western zone area.
I'm not telling you, Evitel, because actually something else that came up in 10.07 was Neltharion told you. Do you remember The Old Gods and the Ordering of Azeroth? Another book that popped up in 10.07. This was a book from Vanilla originally that told the story of like the Titans kind of coming to Azeroth, finding the old gods all fighting with each other and with the elemental lords and things like that, and imprisoning them. Okay, so it was that book, and lots of it's been retconned by Chronicle. So it's interesting that it would pop up again in this patch, but this book is a modified version of it because it has additions in a handwritten scroll in the margins of each page. So you have the page as it was before in Vanilla, but then you have handwritten things as well. These are almost certainly by Neltharion. It's in his library. It's kind of showing his kind of descent into corruption and hating like the aspects and hating the Titans and things like that. It talks about the Black Empire and how bad it was, and he's like, oh, Titan propaganda. The Black Empire was awesome. It was really great. When they're talking about Kalimdor, the great continent as it was before the Sundering, because of course you know from reading Chronicle that all of Azeroth used to be one big continent before the Sundering, and then it all split up into Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdoms, Northrend, Pandaria, what have you. He says that the book is incredibly blind to what lies beyond, in a way that suggests incredibly heavily that the great continent of Kalimdor was not the only landmass on Azeroth at the time.
Oh.
He very, very strongly hints in that book that there is another continent, which it would be fair to reason is the thing that might be beyond the Western Storms.
Wow, I mean, this is some heavy speculation, Tally.
No, it's not speculation. It is evidence-based reasoning. Here's another little note for you.
Okay, tell me more.
Every expansion, when they add a new continent, so, they added Northrend, Kultiras, and Zandalar, where on the map, like, comically, famously, do all of those new continents arrive?
Oh, they're all on the eastern side.
Yeah, they are. Like, hilariously, every time Blizzard releases like a new kind of continent, which we go to in an expansion, they are all to like the east of the Maelstrom, right? Which is kind of like supposed to be in the middle of the map. It's the way that the map has always been organized. You're running out of space on the eastern side of the map. Do you know what they did at the start of Dragonflight to the world map? Maybe you didn't notice.
I didn't see anything. What changed?
They moved everything to the east.
No.
Yeah.
And then what? Is there just a big gap there now?
So the entire map has been moved up and nudged along, not to the west to open up more space and place everything a little bit more centrally, but to the east to further squash everything towards one side for some reason to create more room to the west of Kalimdor. Now, there have been interviews about this. Ian Hazakostas has talked about it and said that, it's just a little graphical thing that they were doing, blah, blah, blah. But that's bullshit.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. You and I both know that's absolute bullshit. Why on earth, when everything is packed over to the eastern side of the map, would you, if you were going to do anything to the map, if you were going to nudge it in any direction, why on earth would you nudge it to the east? No. You would nudge it to the west. You would move everything a bit more central from the
Give it some room to
overloaded
breathe.
part.
Yeah.
That's not what they did. For some arbitrary, unknown reason, they have prepared a bit of space to the west. Are you intrigued by my evidence so far?
I have to say I am.
I've got even better evidence for you.
Okay.
Because you know that book about Nightsquall? Mm-hmm. I didn't tell you everything about it. Because
How dare you?
in that book about Nightsquall, the captain notes that Nightsquall has returned. He went beyond the Western Storms, and unlike anyone that has ever been like through the Western Storms before, he has come back. And the book says he has come back with untold wonders and things that no one has ever seen before, and stories about things that no one has ever seen before. And he's like, dudes, I found this amazing place. Get together the biggest pirate army that has ever existed on Azeroth, because we are going a-plundering in the Western continent beyond the storms.
Wow. Okay, I have to say, that is the first time in all of this that I've actually gone, hold on, wait, that's actually really cool. Like one guy coming back and being like, I've seen the beyond. I know what's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come with me.
And the pirates are all like, yo, and that's why there's so many pirates on the Dragonards, because that's where there's like they're getting their massive pirate army together. They're getting like all like the fleet together, and it is Dragonards where they're starting to get all their resources together and stuff like that. They're plundering the Dragonards to get resources to go to the Western Storms.
This is amazing. But wait, can I offer just one counterpoint? Mm-hmm. I mean, when you first mentioned, the pirate hats, the pirate theme, the seafaring stuff, don't you think that's too BFA? Because we had loads of that in BFA. We had Kultirans, like seafaring people on boats, going on island expeditions, like actually doing that. So when I first heard this, when you first mentioned it, I thought, no way, like we've seen pirates.
Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be pirates. I think it's going to be privateers. I think it's going to be explorers. I think it's going to be discovering a whole new continent. And here's the thing, right? So here's my setting.
Okay.
And I'm working with the title Nightsquall at the moment.
Okay.
Like World of Warcraft, Nightsquall.
Not Forbidden West.
Maybe Forbidden West.
World of Warcraft,
or
Forbidden West.
Beyond the storm,
the
or
Great
something
Beyond.
like that. Yeah, Great Beyond the storm. Mm-hmm. But I'm working on the working title of Nightsquall.
Okay, I like Nightsquall.
World of Warcraft loves its one title titles recently. Yeah. So Nightsquall sounds pretty cool. I think that's a cool name. Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome.
Love it.
So the setting of this expansion will be a whole new continent beyond the Western Storms. I can get more about the continent in a minute because it's actually a really important part of the expansion rather than just a setting.
Okay, so we've got the continent. What's the story here? How is this going to work?
Okay, so I know what you're picturing. You are picturing one continent like the Broken Isles, or like the Dragon Isles, or like Kultiris or Zandalar. I'd like you to picture the scene.
Okay.
When Ian Hazacostas announces World of Warcraft Nightsquall, you know, he's just gone off, maybe there's been a cinematic or something. He comes back, he's wearing his new Nightsquall t-shirt. He's been very happy with himself.
I love it.
And he's like, so I know that many of you have been asking for a revamp of the old world. And we could give you a revamped old world. What would that really mean? Nicer trees. Nicer buildings. It would essentially be
Ian.
the old world. With World of Warcraft Nightsquall, what we are giving you is not a new expansion zone. The world of Nightsquall and the Western continents is the basis for multiple new expansions. And the zones that we are giving you in World of Warcraft Nightsquall, just to open the expansion, are the size, in terms of landmass, of Kalimdor.
Ooh!
So the idea is that this new zone will be like, and because I was just thinking, you know, if they are going beyond the Western Storms, you can't just have a zone, right?
No.
It's got to be something a bit more substantial than that. And, you know, I know everyone's talking about the revamp and what have you, but how would I sell that?
Yeah.
You know?
Tally, I can see the marketing already.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
Like World of Warcraft, step into a new world.
Yeah, exactly.
And then this is literally how they like revamp the game. This is the new fresh start. It's
Exactly.
a whole, not even a whole new zone, a whole new area. It is just the new game basically that starts once you cross this blustery wall, whatever you call it.
And think about it, right? Like saying, oh, the new expansion zone is the size of Kalimdor sounds huge, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, what? The size of Kalimdor? But actually, Kalimdor isn't that big. I just think that would be a really good way of selling it.
Makes sense to me. I'm sold.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
I'm in.
exactly.
I'm like,
exactly.
Take me there.
So that will be like the unique selling point of the expansion and like the gimmick of the expansion and like the theme of the expansion is like, you've got, you know, he was like, the thing about World of Warcraft is when you first started playing the game, there was this great sense of adventure and exploration and discovery. And that's not something that we could get back just by revamping the old world, which, you know, it would be new, but you've all been there before. You'd be seeing how it changed rather than discovering something completely new. With World of Warcraft Nightsquall, the new continent, Squallsville. I haven't got a name for the new continent yet, all right?
We'll get there.
Avaloran is like a name that's being thrown around a lot, but whatever. And you know, at last we can give you something unseen by anyone on Kalimdor or the Eastern Kingdoms or what we thought consisted the whole of Azeroth, and we can give you something completely new to explore. And I think that'll be it. And I think that'll be like the whole theme, which brings us back to all of those hints about not pirates necessarily, but diplomats.
Ooh.
Like admirals, like going out wearing like Christopher Columbus style clothes. What was the word you used? Conquistadors.
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 Yeah, I mean, those guys were kind of nasty. We don't really
well,
want them.
they were colonizers, right?
Yeah.
But like, you know, Azeroth has got a bit of a habit of doing that as well. But yeah, they are, you know, you associate them with like a golden age of golden for some people, age of discovery.
Okay, but you still haven't answered my question. What is this new continent like?
Okay.
Guys, gals, squirrels, it's Squarespace time yet again. Who am I kidding? It's always Squarespace time here at TNE HQ because those guys and gals and squirrels have made today's video possible and keep our website looking. You know how much I like to sing the praises of Squarespace's many useful and innovative features. Amazing video embedding and uploading features, if you prefer to go that route. Social media integrations, which mean no one can escape your overbearing Twitter persona, even on what should be your professional landing page. Analytics, shop fronts, I could go on. You know I could go on. But today, I'd like to keep it surface level and focus on one of my favorite things about Squarespace. Its beautiful library of flexible, beautiful, customizable templates. I mean, look how easy it is to get started. I can choose what I want my site to be about, my goals, and boom! Instant template fiesta. Look at these bad boys. So slick, so clean, so much cooler than what we deserve. But hey, in case you had somehow forgotten, we used to have some pretty slick looks ourselves. Like this one, which was pretty much just my face. Or when we went hard on the donation button approach. Or this one, which, I mean... Hey Tally, how do you feel about a website redesign? Feeling inspired? Just head to squarespace.com for full perusal of your options and a free website trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Taliesin and use code Taliesin to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/Taliesin. Oh yeah, sorry Tally, we're going back to this one. Oh yeah, that's the one.
So it's not going to be one landmass. Okay.
Right.
It's going to be islands. Okay. But big islands, substantial islands, but lots of islands. Okay. And they're going to be all over the place.
Hold on, Tally. I've had experience with islands in WoW, and it wasn't my favorite.
Yeah. Do you know why? Is because you're talking about BFA, where you would go to your mission table, or like the island expedition table, you would hit a button, you would queue into an instance. And what has everyone always said about island expeditions? Wouldn't it be awesome if we could explore them? And Blizzard have always been like, no. Because say what you like about Kultiris and Zandalar and BFA, the theme was not exploration.
No.
The theme was war. The theme was like gathering of resources. I don't know if Nightsquall is on our side or not. Do we join up with Nightsquall? Does Nightsquall come to us and be like, I've told them we're going plundering, but actually, I'm really scared. There's something there that we need help with. Okay? And I suspect that might be it. I suspect Nightsquall isn't the baddie of this expansion. I expect Nightsquall is like, when it comes to all his pirate buddy, he's like, yeah, we've got to get the biggest pirate army ever, and we're going to go and plunder this land. And he does want to do that too, but also he's going to go to Orgrimmar, he's going to go to Stormwind, and he's going to talk to the leaders there, and he's going to be like, I'm getting this massive pirate army together because we need a massive army. There's something over there that is really bad and we have to stop it. I know a way through the storm. Come with me. Let's go. That's what I suspect it's going to be about. But also it would be like this whole vibe of discovery and kind of like, you know, discovering all this new continent and things.
Okay. Are you telling me that we're going to get boats?
Glad you brought that up. So, something that got me thinking in 10.1 was some new tech. So, you know, since 10.1 is set in the Zaralek Caverns, and you can fly through a little corridor, through multiple kind of sort of caverns into the Grand Cavern itself. And that's new tech for World of Warcraft.
It is,
The new zone that you're going to isn't there when you're in Valdrakken. It loads as you're flying through the corridor. This is new loading tech. So you can get from one kind of thing to another thing that would usually need a loading screen, but now in 10.1 doesn't. So, see where I'm going with this?
I see where you're going.
If we have our hub, like, you know, this is the first place Nightsquall came to. He's already got like a kind of like a piratey kind of settlement set up. You know, traders and stuff are already coming through the path that he discovered through the storms and setting up. There's loads of goblins, obviously. Here's my prediction.
Okay.
We will have a boat which will work as player housing. The inside of it will be customizable and decoratable, and we will hire like different crew members and stuff. You'll be able to get on other people's boats to go on adventures, navigating and going from zone to zone in this huge continent, like over the sea. There'll be waves, there'll be things to kind of like avoid and to do, and it'll be like a sea version of dragon riding, but without loading screens to each different bit, because they'll be using the tech from 10.1 to get us from place to place without loading screens.
And presumably you'll be crossing like kind of vast bodies of water where you would not be able to dragon ride through it.
Exactly.
Right? So you have to use this other mode of transport.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I guess they'll have fatigue if you're not on the boat.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of like Sea of Thieves, and like, you know, maybe people will have different jobs on the boat or whatever. I don't know. You need to be able to do it solo as well, right? So whatever. Which is semi-player housing in that you can kind of like, customize it and buy things for it and what have you.
Oh, I was craft things for it.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I hope so.
Okay, completely sold on boat-based player housing. That's like the last thing I was expecting you to tell me today, but I'm on board.
What, you weren't
Literally.
expecting that I was going to predict player housing in the new expansion?
No, but not on a boat.
So that's the big feature,
Right.
that I'm predicting for the next expansion.
What else are we looking at then?
A big theme of Dragon Isles is the elements, right? And the idea that the Primal Incarnates are very connected to the elements. I think it will probably turn out that they've been empowered by the elements or the elemental lords, and maybe Iridikron's grand aim is that he's trying to bust out the elemental lords from there, from the plane.
The bigger bad.
Yeah, exactly. And when I look at the Chronicle and the Shadowlands Cosmos chart, on like the elemental kind of scale, there are two that we never really mention. Like, who the elemental lord of fire is, right? We know who the elemental lord of wind is. We know who the elemental lord of water is. But we don't know who the elemental lord of decay is, and we don't know who the elemental lord of spirit is either. If the Titans kind of only focused on Kalimdor and only focused on the elemental lords that were fighting or joining with the old gods on Kalimdor, maybe whoever the elemental lord of spirit and whoever the elemental lord of decay weren't even there. Maybe they were on this, like fighting on this other continent or whatever, or focusing there, and they're not trapped in the elemental plane by the Titans. They're not imprisoned there, and there's an old god over there maybe who isn't imprisoned, and there could be any kind of stuff over there. That's the entire point. There could be Naru. There could be, like more wild gods. There could be more world trees that have been formed in a different way. There could be a portal to like the chaos realm. And I think they could actually take a lot of inspiration from New World as well, and particularly like the gathering and the crafting system. Mm-hmm. We know that the crafting system of World of Warcraft, Dragonflight, is meant to be the basis for, the next 10 years or whatever, the next X amount of expansions. And I think a good way of expanding that would be to have new professions, right? So I think, the long-awaited woodworking, kind of, cutting down trees, like lumberjacking, stuff like that. Obviously you need stuff for your boat as well, mm-hmm. and what have you. And so there's loads of places that would fit in. And, with the work order system and what have you, that could all work too.
I have a prediction.
Okay.
I think, given all this talk about the West, I think the title is going to have the West in it somewhere.
Okay.
It's going to be like World of Warcraft Westlands, or, Battle for the West.
Wicked West. Or Wetland Wazoo.
Warlords of the West. Like, it's going to be none of those. I think it's just going to have the word West in it.
Okay.
Somewhere.
I'm down with that.
That's my prediction for this.
I think that's, why not?
Nightsquall is cool, but I feel like it needs to be a little more...
Okay, yeah, a little bit more descriptive of what it actually is,
exactly.
I guess. Yeah, I could see that. Like, Nightsquall is my working title.
What else is going to happen to the faction conflict? Because we've had people talking about this, like, what's happening to Alliance and Horde? Put me on it.
Do you want a new prediction I just thought of just now?
Oh, give it to me.
And you brought it up with your talking about factions, is that, it's always been two factions, right? Because mm-hmm. it's very limiting to have factions, right? Mm-hmm. You have two different factions, and those factions separated you from half of the player base. Mm-hmm. Much more than that if you played Alliance. Mm-hmm. And that's why the idea of a new faction was never a serious idea, because it's like, well, why would you split the player base into three? That's just stupid. But factions don't split players up anymore. And if we live in a new world where, you can play with other factions, and the faction is a thing in name only, really, to all kind of, and I think it will get practically to that point gameplay-wise, then what's to stop there being a third faction? What's to stop there being a new faction that you could join?
Wow, if this is truly a new world.
Yeah,
like,
well,
in
exactly.
Every sense.
Exactly. And so you were asking about Horde and Alliance just then, and maybe it kind of, there's this new one that you can join when you get there, and maybe you can stay in the Horde or Alliance if you want, but maybe there's like the Nightsquall faction. I don't know, but like the Privateer faction, right? The Explorers League.
No, I get it. I get what you're saying.
I'm not saying. Yeah. I guess I could see that being a thing, because like the entire reason you've never kind of floated the idea of a third faction seriously before is because you wouldn't want to split up the player base.
No.
But it doesn't do that anymore. So yeah, third faction, go for it. Why not? Working on the assumption that everything I've just said is wrong, do you have a different expansion that you could give a quick prediction for right now?
I mean, we're still waiting for like the big void versus light conflict, intergalactic like disco war could go that way.
Yeah. I think that's like the end game. I think that will eventually happen.
And then it's game over.
Well, yeah, maybe. But I also think Dragonflight and its much more kind of like down to earth feel has been so popular that I think, you know, it's that thing of let's put the disco war back a little bit further. And there have been like really strong hints of not old god stuff so much as like just like straight up void stuff in Aberrus. And one of the really interesting things about Aberrus for me was that it kind of marks a sea change in old god lore and what have you, because it very much seems to kind of go past old gods and into the actual void itself. And like there does certainly seem to be like a portal to the actual void realm there, rather than beings from the void in the form of old gods. You know, like it just seems different. It just seems bigger. It just seems scarier. And I think they could definitely be setting something up from there. That's my prediction. Nightsquall, boats, islands, big new content inside the calendar, like, you know, all that shiz.
I'm in. I'm on board. I'm on the boat. Take me there.
Like I say, I absolutely reserve the right to like change this prediction when 10.3 is like, the void gods arrive! Quick, into the spaceships, everyone! Like, I reserve the right to keep that. You know.
Yeah, I really look forward to watching this in a few months and seeing how utterly wrong.
But I thought I really wanted to put it out there and put it out there for you guys as well. So let us know in the comments below what you think about these predictions. How right am I? And no waiting until it's obvious that I'm wrong. All right. I want your reactions to this right now.
Instantly now.
Yeah. No being all like, I might just wait a few months before I comment on this video. No, have the courage of your convictions. Comment now. If you think I'm wrong or I'm right, comment now and come back again in a few months when I'm obviously wrong and comment again. Scrub.
You have nothing to lose at this point, Tally. You have just like predicted an extremely detailed, possibly entirely
I know,
incorrect
it's so
inspection.
specific, isn't it?
So specific.
But for me, the evidence is there. This is not based on... This isn't like, you know. And it's always been the case that in the expansion before, there have been incredibly strong hints as to like what was coming next.
Yes.
And yeah, I just feel like... Yeah.
I can see it. Yeah.
But whatever BlizzCon holds... Oh my God, can you imagine if they don't even announce an expansion?
No.
It's like, you're not just wrong about the theme of the expansion, you're wrong about an expansion. Oh, can you imagine? There's no way they'd get us all to BlizzCon and not give us an expansion announcement.
I feel like someone would do it just to spite you.
Anyway, let us know. And if you like this video, don't thank us, thank our patrons who give us their actual real life money to make all of our work happen. And guys, seriously, thank you, because without you, there'd be a whole lot less Taliesin and Evitel. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, my name is, I don't know, someone who predicts things better than me. Yeah, there is no one. You can't think of anyone. That's the entire point. Trick question. It was me all along. It was always me.
It's always been you.
It was always Taliesin all along. It was never any of those other people. Cheerio.